Today, I'm joined by James Martin, aka Made by James, who is an award winning brand identity designer and co founder of Baby Giant Design Co. He grew up a creative, developed his skills in illustration, became a teacher, then a tattoo apprentice, and now has been in the graphic design world for 15 years. And the knowledge and individual outlook that he has allowed him to thrive in a competitive design industry. His willingness to share his creative process, offer honest advice, and engage with fans and followers on social media has earned him a reputation as a generous and wise mentor and inspiration, especially to junior designers and those who are just getting started in the field. So, welcome to the podcast, James Martin.
Hello, how are you? You well?
I am good. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate your time and you being here. You're quite a big name in the industry, James. And, I have known and followed you on social media for quite a while. And I've seen your work and how you've amassed a huge following, especially on Instagram. And I'm curious. So I'm going to go and dive right in. Out of the many specialization, why did you choose to become a brand identity designer?
Wow, that's a very good question. Why did I choose that? I don't think I think it chose me more than anything. For a very, very long time. I've been in the industry for, over 16, 17 years now. And I did everything. I did everything from web, as I said, illustration, animation, worked on magazines. So basically I did all sorts of stuff growing up in the design world and working for the different agencies and stuff. And I think over time, trying lots of different things, I figured out there were certain things that I liked more than others. I think you can only start to, I'm a big believer in niching. Don't get me wrong, like niching down to something. But I personally think that people who make the best niches are the people who have tried a lot of things to start with. I think over time, the more I started to work with logo design and brand identity, the more I started to get comfortable with it and really enjoy it. And I found it was a place that I could start to put my storytelling abilities and, telling a lot of information in a very simple visual, something that I got a little bit obsessed with. And now I'm full stack all day, every day, creating logos, which is my dream. But like I said in the beginning, I think the passion chose me rather than I chose it, because I did 15 years ago when I got into the design world I want to be a logo designer. It was over many mistakes, getting a lot of stuff wrong, trying stuff, figuring out whether I liked it or not. All of those years, hours, weeks have got me to kind of this place. So I'm just loving it. Who knows what next year I'm going to be? I don't know, clown.
That is brilliant. So what were you doing before you did brand designs? And your logos, by the way, are amazing.
Thank you very much. That's very kind. You have to say that because I'm a guest, but I will take it as possible. So.
Not just that.
Thank you very much. So like I said, so I got my first stage. So I obviously went to, I say obviously all the time, even though it's not obvious because you don't know, but I went, I was always creative growing up. I was always on the artiest side rather than what I would call the academic stuff. So I was better at design and art, way better than I was at maths, English, science. But kind of growing up, art was a hobby. It wasn't really a career choice. It was very much a hobby that you do and you get a proper job. But I've always enjoyed it. So I went to college and did an art foundation and painted, and I've always loved drawing. So I kind of continued that as far as I could. So then went to university. And while I was at university, I got a design job, and then wasn't sure whether I liked it, and then did a tattoo apprenticeship, and then did some teaching, obviously teaching art. But it wasn't quite the right time for me. And then, yeah, over the years, I've just kind of, started design jobs, worked in an agency. And then for the last 10 years, well, 10, 11 years, I've had my own design agency called Baby Giant, where we do basically everything. So web, print, logo, brand identity. But yeah, as I said, like to answer your question, I basically did everything as a designer to kind of figure out that logo design was kind of my place to be. And like 5 years ago, I decided to start sharing my process and stuff and how I create the logos, how I think, my random thoughts, and the more I started to share like the real side of my life and the kind of the behind the scenes of like logo design and how I come up with ideas and the sketches and stuff and all that, it just kind of grew and grew and grew. And yeah, now we're at a place where I've got a book out and logo course dropping. So I mean, it's crazy, to be fair. I mean, I'm just enjoying it, and I think that's the most important thing, is just to enjoy it. But, it's kind of taken a lot of years of hard graft to kind of get to a place now where I wake up and I draw and I get paid to do it, and I go to bed and then I do it again. It's like the perfect life for me right now.
Exactly. And I think that's what many people are missing right now, many creatives specifically. Because when you talk about, there's a thing they call that you always have, you always need to niche down at some point. But what other people don't realize is before you can do that, you've got to be able to do a lot of things. You won't be able to find your niche just that easily. Am I correct?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, social media. I mean, I was very lucky, I think, because I grew up in a design world where social media wasn't around. The idea was to get a design job, work at the bottom, in an agency and work your way up. You learn everything, and then you start very broad, and then you do this. Where obviously social media is fantastic, but I think what it has created is a bit of a kind of false creative world. Like people are just seeing people make money doing X, and they think that they can do that straight away, and then they get disheartened. But then they see somebody else over here doing something creative, and they go and chase that, and then get disheartened because it's not working. And I think niching. I think that, like I mentioned a little bit ago, like I think the people who are niching now and are making waves and doing good things and actually are able to make a living out of niching, they've done a huge amount. They haven't just come out fresh out of college without any business know-how, marketing know-how, knowledge of the industry, and then expect to niche down and make it as a logo designer. If I had done that 15, almost 20 years, or 15, 16, 17 years ago, I would have failed. And I might never have picked up logo design ever again, which is why I really like the idea of like passions following us rather than us following passions. If I followed my passion, I would have been a beer drinking rugby player who liked tattoos and drawing. That's what I would have been if I followed my passion. So I think it's important to kind of evolve and try different things. But niching is powerful, but I think it takes a lot of guts. I think it's really difficult. And it's something that's not going to happen overnight. Even once I niched down into logo design, that's after 5 years in an agency, 5 years running my own agency. I wasn't, when I started, I was still not getting, I was only maybe 5 to 10 logos a year. Now I'm doing 80 to 100,
wow.
So that in 5 years. So there's still a lot of growth. It doesn't just happen once you go, well, I'm going to niche and I'm going to be rich.
Yes,
happen,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember during my lettering days, because I used to be a hand lettering artist as well. I don't know what it meant by niching down. I was like, how do I do that when I'm hand lettering? And then I tried chalkboard lettering. I tried doing murals, mirror lettering, whatever. And then I realized those are not the things that I like. I want to be able to work at home. I don't want to climb on ladders.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Rely
get
on the weather.
yeah, yes, exactly. And I don't want to do chalkboards. I hate chalk dust because I have allergic rhinitis.
Yeah.
And then that is when it came to me that I wanted commercial work. I
Yeah.
wanted to design book covers, like commercial lettering for other companies and businesses. I don't want to go out of the house
Yeah.
aside from
Yeah.
teaching workshops.
And isn't that lovely? I mean, I mean, what you've said there is perfect. I mean, there is like hand lettering. I mean, it's so big,
It's
graphic
broad,
design
yeah.
is so big. Do you know what I mean? And there's so many ways in which you can go in any given industry. But what I think people do is they chase what they either chase money or they chase what they think they should chase.
Yeah.
They think that they should be a brand strategist rather than a logo designer if they're logo design, because somebody said they should be a brand strategist, or somebody might have said to you, you should go and do this, but what you really want to do is this. And I think that's what niching does. It allows you to kind of enjoy your own path. We've all the experts out there. I've literally just done a post about it. All the experts out there, they've all made mistakes, failed, struggled. And the stuff they're talking to you about now is based on all of that. So I think sometimes people just take it as gospel, and think, well, they do it, so I should do it. And there's so many different ways of making it in the world. And I think as soon as you understand that, like you can really start to enjoy your own journeys and your own personal paths and take control. I think that's what a lot of creatives struggle with, is like, I suppose freelancing is the new thing to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
When like 15 years ago, freelancing was tough, almost impossible. It's all about big agencies. It's changed now, but the problem is people are trying to freelance thinking it's enough to be just creative. But it's not enough to just be creative. You've got to have business now. So you've got to know how to market yourself. You've got to know all these other things to, it's no good just like painting pretty pictures or doing great logos in your bedroom and nobody knowing about you. You've got to have all the other stuff to back you up if you're a freelancer. So yeah, I mean, we could talk about it forever, couldn't we?
Yes.
So follow your own path, I think, is the only thing I could take from that.
Exactly. And especially in the very noisy creative industry. Now, I want to go back to the thing you mentioned earlier. You mentioned you've been a graphic designer for, say, like 16, 17 years. Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I know for a fact that most creatives at some point, me included, gets fed up with doing the same thing. And some of us might have shifted, changed our path or careers, while others pursued a totally different specialization. So while you have built a career as a graphic designer for that long, what is your secret? Tell us about it.
Patience.
Oh,
I mean, I've always loved creativity. It's not something that I chose because somebody told me to do it. It was something that, well, obviously somebody did guide me initially after the Art Foundation. My tutor said, you should try graphic design. I didn't have a clue what graphic design was. So he led me in that direction. But for me, I've always kind of been told and grown up in a family space where, you've got to stick at stuff. If it gets difficult, you got to stick through it. Obviously, if you really don't like it and you're really unhappy, there is an opportunity for you to change, because, your happiness is way more important than anything. But at no point have I ever been unhappy. And I think what I've done is I've probably just kept learning, and I've kept, like I said, I did everything. I started an agency. I worked in basically every discipline. I've worked in other agencies. I've now niched down. I've also now got my personal brand. So I've also now got my agency. I've got my personal brand. And with the personal brand, I'm building books, building logo courses, building stuff for, to help other designers, whereas the agency and my logo work still helps clients. So I think I think variation in my day and, not doing the same thing every single day. I mean, yes, I do logos every single day, but they're different logos for different clients in different parts of the world. So each person's different, each project brief's different, each outcome logo design is different. So I think it's just I've got into a sweet spot now. But even when it was really, really tough, I knew if I got through, the tough times, I would make it, and I think maybe that's why some people, I mean, there's way more talented people than me. Maybe they just gave up a little bit sooner than I did. So,
Probably,
I
yeah.
think, I think that's what it comes down to. I am nothing. I am just a beard, a chubby guy from a little village in UK, and I've managed to now, I've got a best-selling book on Amazon at the moment, and that is all
Yeah,
through hard work.
congratulations.
But that's all it is. That there's nothing different from me to the next person. I just kept going, even when I couldn't be bothered. I kept going, even when it was tough. I just kept going. And, I think the universe is paying me back some way.
Exactly. And I think your resilience have kept you
Yeah.
into this path because I, for one, gave up on logo design a long time ago. I designed one logo.
Yeah. Why did you give up then?
I designed one logo. I was able to charge $3,500 for it. But then I realized I don't like doing it.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I am not one to provide that level of solution because I think that is some sort of like, it is a heavy responsibility for me at the time. And I am not ready for that. So I gave up on the logo design. I stayed with commercial work because that's it. I just want to do the work.
Did you, was that the, I'm going to be the interviewer now. Was that because do you have more control? What was it you didn't like about the logo process but you do like about, was it just you didn't feel that you had the skills to be a logo designer, or you didn't like the process, the client work? I mean, how is it different from what you do now?
Well, I enjoyed the lettering part. What I don't like is the responsibility part because I feel like a heavy responsibility is being thrown at me to build up a brand identity for somebody who's going to be using it for their business for quite a while, for quite a long time. And that responsibility actually messes up with my brain. And I don't want when things mess up with my system, with my mindset. So instead of worrying about that, I focused on the thing that I love and enjoy doing and that I can do over and over and over without that hanging over my head.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
For example, an illustration on the front of a book's going to outlast a logo, surely.
Yeah, I don't know why that feels slightly different.
Yeah. Why is that different? It's worse.
I don't know. Is it?
Yeah.
But it felt like sort of, I don't know. I'm weird.
That's right, so am I.
But, and you seem to be doing really, really well despite all of that weirdness,
Yeah, but like you say, I think we all have our thing, don't we?
Yes.
I love that responsibility. I love knowing that the stuff I create is going to be used make other people, that thing that I make will make that other person money and bring them success. I mean, if they put the effort in and all the other stuff that needs to go with building a company, but I love being a part of other people's journeys and successes. That's why I love it. That's what I love most, to be fair.
Wow, that's brilliant. And that is amazing. And congratulations on the best-selling Amazon book, by the way.
Yeah, only this week. So, yeah, I mean, who knows? It might be overtaken next week. So, but I'll take it. I've already taken a picture, so it's with me forever.
Amazing. Brilliant. Now, we have been talking about all the things that you are doing. You have your brand identity design work. So I would assume you have a ton of clients coming your way. And then you also have a business. You help other people. You are present and you are super prolific in social media. I see you every single day. Do you seem to be super organized with your process? So how do you do things? Do you have some sort of a daily routine that you follow?
Yeah, that's a lot of questions in one, but so I'll try and answer. I'll try and answer them one at a time. I think without a routine, you can't be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Straight down, I think. Um, I think routine brings organization. It helps your brain to know when it's working and when it's not working. So I'll get up the same time every day. I'll work out. I'll read. I'll walk the dog, and that's all before I've got into work at 8 o'clock in the morning. So
Mm.
and then I'll 8 o'clock till 6 o'clock in the evening is client time, and then 6 o'clock till 9:30, 10 o'clock when I go to bed is kind of my time. So I kind of get up. I like to get up early and go to bed early. I'm much more effective in the mornings and not in the evenings. Like evenings are quiet time for me. Mornings I'm super active. So yeah, I think ultimately like the prolificness or whatever you want to call it of like work and content all comes down to routine and structure. And it's something that I've been doing consistently. Like even going back a decade, I've always gone to work at the same time, even when I didn't have the work on. Still go into the office at the same time and just work on my own stuff, And I think that's a trick that a lot of people kind of missed out on, and that's why they get creative block and then they struggle, is because when they're busy, they work really, really, really hard, like pull all nighters and get everything done. And then when they got nothing on, they sit around and do sod all. Is that you? Yeah, that's probably you. That's probably why you're not prolific in content making. But that's that, for me. That's what's whether I was busy or not, I would still show up every single day, whether it be working on my website, building some marketing materials for the agency or whatever it was. I would still go into work those hours, because what happened then was work was easy. Like doing 10-hour days was easy. I think when some people don't work for like a week or 2 weeks and then they have to pull like an 8-hour day, they're like, oh my God, the world has ended. I'm so tired. It's because you've been sitting on your ass doing nothing for the last 2 weeks, mate. But I think that's kind of, I know everybody's different, but for me, this needs training. Your mind needs constant work. It needs to be constantly on. Even over Christmas, I would go in just for a little bit, an hour or two in the morning, just to kind of create, maybe answer a couple of emails, just kind of keep it ticking. It's like the old cruise ships, they never turn off. Oh, the big old cruise liners that go around the world, they stay on 24/7. They're never turned off, because if you turn it off, it takes them ages. Something might break, something might not work.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got to keep them running to keep them working as efficiently as possible. And I think that's the same with the brain. But when it comes to like the stuff that I share as well, all of the stuff I share is projects or stuff that's in my mind. So when I'm creating all my work for my clients, I've got all my sketches, I've got all the mock-ups I share, I've got all my thoughts, so I've got like already, like I've got like 30 to 40 projects that I haven't shared yet. And that's 30 to 40 projects I can share on social media, YouTube,
Wow.
or whatever it is. So there's always, what I like to kind of think is like my clients pay me to create content. That's the way I look at my life. They pay me to create content, and that content gets me more money to pay me. It's a win-win-win, isn't it?
It is.
So yeah, I think, for me, I've been in that kind of world where I've tried to work all night, and I was just like struggling to come up with stuff, and I was trying to figure. But as soon as I've figured out my routine and kept it solid, like even if I've still got stuff to do at like 6 p.m., I might still do podcasts and coaching after that, but work-wise, client work, it will stop, and I'll just do it the next day, because I know anything that I'm doing from 6 p.m. onwards isn't going to be my best work, because I'm absolutely shattered. So yeah, that's routine. Routine's the winner.
Yeah. So when it comes to creating content, do you create content every single day, or do you batch create your content?
I don't batch anything or do anything. Basically, it's just I will. So the post I did today, I was
Mhm.
driving around in my car, I went to the framers, and I thought it in my head, and I just came back and I just did it very quick. Obviously, I'm not back at proper work yet. So I'm back at work as of Monday. You know, I'm still work. I'm still in the office and doing stuff, but I kind of wanted to give myself a little extra break, kind of just after Crimbo. So, but like I said, like all the client projects I've done, you know, some I'm not allowed to share yet because their companies haven't launched yet.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but as I say, I've got 30 to probably closer to 40 projects which have been completed, which I'm allowed to share and allowed to share soon. So, you know, you think of that if I post, not even if I post every day, that's almost a month and a half, you know, just over a month's content that I've got ready, which I've already done. I haven't created the content for Instagram. I've created the content for my client because it's my process, taken pictures of it to share on Instagram when I can. So it's kind of,
Brilliant.
I don't create for Instagram, I create for my clients, but but that allows me to share on social media. And obviously it's a free form of marketing. And that's what I like about it is it's free, you know, effort is free, you know,
Exactly.
so showing up and posting the odd picture of a logo and talking about it, I love it. I love
Yeah.
doing that stuff and helping others think. I think it's quite cool.
Yeah. So, can you tell us a bit of that process when it comes to creating content and creating work for your client? I want to see and picture how you do it every single day.
So with what my logo process,
Yeah. Your logo
yeah,
creation process.
yeah. So it will all. I mean, so from obviously somebody will reach out to. So getting the client is probably the first thing, you know. So I've got Babe Made by James website, got Baby Giant website, you know. Pinterest is quite good for me. Dribble, LinkedIn, Instagram, um, yeah, so those are probably the main. So social media. So the client will either come to me through social media, they'll come to me through my websites, or they'll come to me through word of mouth. You know, I would say it's 40% probably social, but that's across all of them, not just one social. That's kind of online. And then I've got
Yeah.
40% probably that come through word of mouth, you know, work that I've done for somebody else. And then they've seen that and then they come to me. I love referral work because I don't pitch for anything. I don't pitch for anything anyway, but I love referrals because it's like, I want to work with you. How much is it? I go, it costs X, and they go, let's go. Yeah, there's no battering around. There's no pretending that we're trying to figure each other out. Um,
Yeah.
but then obviously there's my websites, which bring in like another 25, 20% or whatever it is. So the client will come to me. Obviously, if they're happy with my prices and everything, I'll get a deposit straight away. I take 75% up front and then do 25% on completion. We will then jump on a call. I ask them to I've got like a form I send them, which is basically like a questionnaire. It's kind of so I can find out a little bit about their company, their brand, you know, their values, their target market, obviously what it is they do, their service or their product or whatever it is. And then we jump on a call together. So we'll have like a sometimes half an hour, sometimes an hour Zoom call, talk through the mood board, the brief, like all the stuff they said. They talk about the company, and that's really good. I mean, I think it's really important to have a call with your client before you start, you know, the creation process, because you know you can learn a lot from body language and obviously talk through any questions that you've got you've got and they might have face to face. And I think it's a really good thing. And then from there I just go straight into breaking down the brief. I like to use like word mapping. That's kind of my go-to idea generation tool. So um kind of breaking down the brief into what I would classify as ideas. You know, they might just be simple words or sentences that I think are prominent to them and their values and what they do. And then I start to create ideas in and around them. So words will become a group of words, and then I'll start to look for similarities, and maybe there's something over here that I can create, or maybe something over here I can visualize. And then I just go through sketching, what I would call rapid prototyping. So it's basically just really quick doodles, no kind of there's no, not necessarily, there's not any thought, but I'm not trying to be neat. I'm just trying to get what's in here down on paper. So just lots of scribbles, sometimes in a notebook, sometimes in the sketchbook. It depends on whatever piece of paper I've got in front of me. And then from there, I like to present one idea at a time. So I don't kind of share 10 to 15 ideas.
Yeah.
I just show them one idea.
I love that.
Yeah. And the reason I do that is because, to do the stuff that I do, they've come to me with a problem. My job is to find a solution, not give them 25 solutions. And then, because what I found by doing this with other agencies when they hire me to do work for them, or like working in the agency I did previously when we did logo work, is like, I think it delays thinking, and actually causes problems. Showing multiple ideas to somebody who doesn't really know what they want is a very, very quick way to a difficult project, because they just like, well, I like it all, so can we put it all together? And you're like, well, no, that's not going to work. Or they're like, I don't like anything. And then there's the creator, you're like, but they might not mean that. They might just not. I just don't like them. It's not they don't like anything in it. But basically, that's the way I like to do one logo at a time, purely because I think it brings focus to the project. And if they don't like what I share with them, we then go for a process. So they got 4 rounds of revisions for free within the price. So obviously, if they don't like something, it's all about focusing on what it is they don't like. They might love the symbol, not like the type. They might love everything, not like the colors. So it's about asking the right questions and then developing the idea rather than, sometimes I have to start again. Sometimes I'm way off the mark, and, that happens. I'm not a mind reader. I'll go where I think the brief's going to go. But 90% of the time, I'm there and thereabouts on that first one, maybe a few tweaks needed. So yeah, that's kind of the process. It's all kind of starts with, like with anything, starts with nothing, a call, and then, breaking down brief into a load of different ideas, and then me focusing on, what do I think I can visualize that's going to help this company tell the story and, tell their own story and give them the ability. It's a vessel for communication at the end of their logo. The brand is so much bigger. This logo has just got to, it's got to be
part
memorable.
of the brand. Yeah.
Yeah. Brand is huge. Logo is a very small part of that. But that logo allows that brand to communicate emotionally, mentally, or whatever, whichever way you look at it. So yeah, obviously there are a few things that a logo has to do, has to work, it has to be versatile enough and be applicable enough, and, work everywhere it's going to need to work. But I try not to kind of constrain myself by too many rules when I create. And I think that somehow allows me to come up with some weird stuff that ends up working, which is good.
So how do you turn all of these process into content that you share on social media? Because it seems like you've got it all figured out together. I want to know, did James also experience sort of like, I'm having a hard day, or you don't experience that at all? Because you seem like everything is just going with the flow.
Yeah, I think you do get into a sense of flow or flow state when you do the same thing. It's almost habit, routine now for me, creating, thinking. I think I've trained myself to think, of ideas and different ways and how to come up with ideas. And that is now almost second nature to me. I can, some logos I come up with in 10, 15 minutes. Do you know what I mean? And I see them in my mind and I do them. But that's taken almost 20 years to be able to do it in that amount of time. So, I think it's the same with anything. But when it comes to like the content that I share on Instagram, for example, I'm sketching in my sketchbooks I'm making notes in my notebooks. And all I do is I just take pictures of my sketches. To be fair, like I mean, I know I'm going to be sharing it on Instagram. So I'll draw all of my stuff rather than across the page. I will have like in my mind, like a square. I know I'm going to share it on a square tile. So I'll draw all of my ideas and my thoughts within a square, a mental square shape, if that makes sense. I should
Yeah.
just buy a square sketchbook. That'd probably be a lot easier. But, so I'm going to I know, I mean, this is the way I get multiple uses out of the stuff that I create. I'm just taking pictures of my process, my sketches all the stuff that people see on social media. My client has already seen it. All of that they have already got. And I actually think, all the thinking and the crappy ideas, and well, not necessarily the crappy ideas, the ideas that go into that final logo are the fun stuff. That's the interesting stuff. I mean, you can look at a logo and you can go, that's great, but why? What's the reason? And I think the reason for its creation is the fun stuff. For me,
Yeah.
anyway.
And I think everything that you are doing in social media as well is coming back at you. It's like full circle. You do the work, you share the work, and then it comes back to you as another form of work from other people because
Yeah.
you have been so generous when it comes to sharing your processes, your knowledge, everything that you know, everything that you do. You don't shy away from sharing. Are you not afraid of oversharing like what many creatives experienced? I have known for a fact that so many people are afraid of sharing because they think, oh, I will have more competitors. How do you deal with that?
Well, I know, thank God for the world, that there's only one of me, so that's a good thing. And I think as soon as you drop the ego, life gets
Yes.
life gets better. There is always going to be. I mean, if I did every single logo that has ever been done in my lifetime myself, I mean, it's impossible. You don't need. I know I want. Obviously it's going to change. But I know if I can get 50 clients a year, I'm going to live. Yeah, I'll make six figures. I'll be very happy. I don't need 20,000. I don't need all the work that comes in my door. Do you know what I mean? I get 1,000 inquiries a year for logo design. Obviously, some are people who like have $5, but that's always, you're never going to stop that from happening. But, I think as soon as you drop the ego and realize that ultimately there is enough work for everybody, which there is, and there will be, yes, there's going to be one person who's happy to pay 5,000 for a logo. There's also going to be people that aren't happy to pay that. Yeah. And I think that's why it's so important to kind of stay in your own lane and kind of, if somebody comes to you and they can't afford your prices, that's okay. Do you know what I mean? That is
Yeah.
absolutely okay, because there will be people who will come to you and they can afford your prices. And those are the people that you want to be putting your time and your energy into. I think I mean, it's such a, I mean, my ego got in the way a lot when I was, when you kind of grow up in the design world, you start to get a little bit bullshit and you start to think, oh, I've got this shit down, mate. Nothing, I'm right all the time. My clients are always wrong. But as soon as I realized that that is not the case, my life's got a lot easier, and, and like all the stuff that I share on social media, all my thoughts, my ideas, my plans, without that, I wouldn't have got my book deal. Without that, I wouldn't, like, all the stuff that I'm sharing isn't just for designers, all my clients can see that. The amount of clients that I don't have to pitch for anything. They're like, well, I know your process. I know how you work. I can see the quality of the stuff you do. Let's go. What's the price? Rather than, I'm not hiding anything from anybody. And that for me is quite, I sleep. And obviously I've got good contracts in place. I've got good, all the rest of it. So I sleep like a baby. If I have a bad client, I've got a solid contract that means I can get rid of them at any time. If
Exactly.
I'm everything, but it's taken, don't get me wrong, it hasn't just happened like that. It's taken a long time to get, I mean, 20, like 6 years ago, I did unlimited revisions. I didn't have contracts. I wasn't charging nearly enough as I should have been doing. And life was pretty stressful. Now I'm charging way more than I used to. I've got contracts. I've got my process nailed. And I think that's what's the most important thing as a creative is like, it's not all going to happen today. You will make mistakes. You will have a bad client that will make you get a contract, or you will learn something from that project that you'll change for the next project. And I think, you're not going to have, I mean, I still don't have it figured out. I'm still tweaking stuff, adding stuff, minusing stuff, changing stuff. And I think that's the fun part of it. But like process is so important for everything, I don't even know if that's what we were talking about. I went off on a tangent then, but it would all make sense, I think.
Yes. I think that is totally fine, and that is a powerful message. And everything again boils down to niching down. I think you having specialized in brand identity have also helped you be able to charge the rates that you want and not chase clients. Because being this specialist, I always tell this to my clients, people pay the specialist, not the generalist.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you try and do all of the things, you're going to be spread in a million different directions instead of just one direction where you can really specialize and hone in on that particular skill, get really, really good at it, and then charge the price that you want people to pay you for. Yeah. That is, I think, one of the main ingredient and one of the main result of niching down.
100%. I mean, but I also know some extremely talented, doing very well designers who still do lots of different stuff. They'll do a bit of web. They'll do a bit of illustration. They'll do a bit of brand identity. They'll do a bit of packaging. I think niching doesn't have to be for everybody. I mean, it's worked for you. It's worked for me, but I know some people who absolutely hate it, but they're living a happy life and have a very, very successful career. So I think there is so much, and like I know you and I can be testament to that it can work, but you don't have to niche to be happy. I think that's also quite an important thing to share. I know it might not be the right thing to share, but I think it's important to know that if you want to run an agency and do like a full stack agency and be web, blah, 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 you can do that. If that's what makes you happy, do it. It's your life. You got to do what makes you happy. And, yes, me and yourself, we love niching. And I know all the benefits of niching, and so do you. But there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say, isn't there? So
exactly.
I think just kind of following your own path is really, really important. And if I started again tomorrow, like knowing everything I know now, if I started again tomorrow, I wouldn't niche. Really, for the first 5, if I started tomorrow, for the first 5 years, I would do everything.
Yeah, I think I understand.
I would do absolutely everything, and then I would niche, because I know my style, my character, the way I do stuff, the way I execute stuff has all come from knowledge of all of those other bits and pieces. Having knowledge of how logo is going to work on web, how it can be animated, how it can be this, how it can be that, allows me to take that into logo design and make it effective. So all of those bits that I've learned before I niche actually have forged my style. Tattoo art, like typography, illustration, all of that I bring in to my logo design. I wouldn't be as good as logo design as I believe I am without all of those other elements before. So I definitely wouldn't niche if I started again. I would definitely, I would niche eventually, but not really.
I totally agree with you 100%. Because before I even became a business coach, I have tried so many different things in my life as well. I was a
Yeah.
blogger, scrapbook designer, lettering artist, online educator. So all
Yeah.
into that. And all of these experiences is just part of this long journey to get to where you want to be. And who knows, tomorrow I might not be a business coach. I might be a life coach. You'll never really know.
Love
But
that. I need some
yeah,
life coaching.
but all of those experiences really bring you to where you want to be. You
But
might
they
not realize that it is the thing that you want now, but probably in the next couple of years, you will see.
100%. And like all of those different things that you have mentioned have allowed you to bring your own unique spin to what you do now.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is the money, that bit. That is the way you think and the way you do stuff now has been directly being affected by all the stuff that you've tried.
Mhm.
And I think that's not talked about enough. So yeah, love that. And I'll
That
say that I'll be your first life coach student.
that is adding to the flavor of what your offering is. And I love what you mentioned earlier about there's a million different ways to skin a cat. I was actually I did an interview this morning with another friend of mine, Ina Coveney. She is an engagement coach on Instagram, and she actually teaches how to monetize your small audience, while I, on the other hand, teaches my clients how to grow an audience. So it's
Sure.
like two different things. And we were very open about this idea that there are many different paths to building your business. So you've got to find what you actually want, your capability, your capacity, how can you do things? Do you have a family? Are you single? You have to know everything in order to be able to do the things that you actually wanted to do. Like
100%.
in my case, I used to have a routine when I was hand lettering. My son was younger then, and he has
Yeah.
special needs. And over the years, of course, he's growing. Everything changes, and my routine was just like thrown out of the window because he wakes up at different times every
Yeah.
day, not like before 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. I
Mhm.
know his timing, but now it's different. So my routine changed from being I need to do this at 6 to 8, 7 to 8 to 10 or something like that, to I've got to work 4 hours a day. Whether it's
Sure.
2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon,
Yeah.
split or 4 hours straight, do whatever works for you. So I love that you brought it up. It's really, really
Yeah.
powerful message for everybody.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And that's yeah. It's and I think that's another thing when we talk about routine, like my routine, and like for example, won't work for you, but it also won't work for a lot of people because I know some people who, you know, really like their sleep and are rubbish in the morning, but they're really, really effective in the evening. So their
Mm-hmm.
routine might be flipped round. They might get out of bed at 10, then they might go for a little bit of lunch or maybe a nice walk, and then they'll start work at 1, but they'll work from 1 till 10 p.m. Whatever works, it
Yeah.
works
Do
ultimately, doesn't it? And I think that's really important. You don't have to do 9 to 5. That's kind of like what we've been taught. That's what the machine does. But as creatives, you've got to go with what works for you. Mine just happens to be like 8 till 6. That's kind of my happy hour. But I'm most productive between, I would say, 8 and 2. That's kind of my sweet spot. That's, at 2 o'clock, I'm kind of like, kind of a bit sick of drawing now, or, fancy some food. Yeah.
Oh my God. I miss those days. Routine has been my saving grace before.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it changed. So I miss those days. I love those days because I think it helps build those neural pathways in our brains so that it comes second nature to you and you don't have to think about what you're going to do on the day.
Yeah. It's training, isn't it? Ultimately,
Yeah,
that's
it
what
is.
you're just training your mind, warming it up.
Mm-hmm.
But as like you said, like even for yourself, it's, circumstance, it's family, it's like, there are so many different factors that affect us individually. We might think we've got it all covered, but somebody might phone me up in a minute, or my wife might phone me up and say, I've broken down on the motorway. I need your help. And I'm not going to go, excuse me, it's only 3:00 in the afternoon. I finish at 6. I'll be there in 3 hours. I'm not going to do that, So I think you've got to have a structured routine as much as you can, but life, there's got to be room for life. It's got to be able to pivot, change without ruining everything. So I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? We're all different. I love that.
Yes, exactly. And this has been such an amazing conversation. I'm so glad that you agreed to be on the show today. Well, James, thank you so much. I appreciate again your time and for sharing your knowledge with everybody who is listening on the Confident Creator Show. Now, before I let you go, could you tell our listeners where can they find Made by James online?
I mean, that's the beauty now. All you have to do is type in "Made by James" and that's and online, and that's great. But supposed to be slightly more accurate. Made by James Instagram, Made by James YouTube. The madebyjames.com is my website where I've got all sorts of fun stuff going on. But if you want to find me, just don't type in James Martin into Google because the celebrity chef will come up. So definitely type in Made by James and I'll come up and you'll find me. Come and say hi. It'd be nice.
Yeah, so I think it goes without saying, everybody, that you just need to think of, or remember, Made by James. So I don't need to remind you today that if you didn't catch up on all those links, it is just
type in that.
Yes, Made by James. And by the way, everything that we talked about in here is going to be in the episode show notes. Just head over to mydeleon.com/Made by James and everything will be there.
Love that. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if you like this episode, please leave us a review because every time you do, you help the podcast get discovered by many creatives who want to grow their own creative business as well. And as always, keep creating and stay confident. Until next time, this is Mai. Thank you so much, James.